Hi, and welcome back to Green Impact Week and our summit, the third day. Today I have a pleasure to talk with 4 professionals who are working in the field of sustainability as sustainable managers. I've been looking forward to this one for many days. So we are here to talk about sustainability within the corporates. How are you guys working with it? What are the trends? Where are we heading at? What are your challenges? And so on. My name is Ahmed. I am the CEO and founder of Sustainary. All right, thank you so much. Let's start with a presentation round, please. Nassera, can start with you.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Nassera, and I am the Sustainability Director at Coloplast.
Thank you. My name is Wouter de Groot. I'm the Head of Sustainability at FLSmidth.
Hi, my name is Medine Duvarci, and I'm a Sustainability Manager at Better Energy.
Hi, my name is Maurits Hekking. I'm responsible for sustainability in GN.
Wow, wonderful. So we know Coloplast. For those of you who are not Danes, Coloplast and FLSmidth and GN, they are big ones. And then we have a rather newly born sustainable company here. So I love the mix. I will let each of you have 2 minutes to explain what is it that you're working with, a little bit background in how you work with it, and what are your responsibilities. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, let's start with you again.
Well, so Coloplast is basically a medical technology or device company, and we take care of people that have intimate care needs. So we produce ostomy bags, we have wound and skin care. And I am actually quite relatively new to Coloplast. I've recently started, and they just launched our new strategy, which is called Strive 25, and sustainability is one of the main, you could say, pillars of the strategy. And my team and I, together, we will be working towards, changing different aspects of our production, so trying to make us more carbon neutral, reducing emissions, also working towards our packaging to make sure that we can actually reduce and also change our packaging more towards renewable materials, make it more recyclable, and then, of course, the overall, responsible operations. And obviously, we can't do this alone, so we want to do it in partnerships together with our suppliers and together with other companies. So that's what we will be working on for the next few years now.
Yes. Fantastic. So you launched a new strategy, and they handpicked you to run it, right? Because you come from Christian Hansen, who just won SDG Take Award Prize for the best company this year.
I think Coloplast is the best medtech company
congratulations
out there. So yes.
to them. Yeah. All right, thank you. Wouter?
Is that your KPI as well? Good. Thank you, Nassera. But I would like to start off with a number that's 12%. 12% of all the CO2 emissions in the world is coming from the cement and mining companies. Now, these are 2 industries that, perhaps in the mind of people, are not necessarily very sustainable. And that's to some extent true. That shows also by that CO2 intensity number. But there are also 2 industries that we crucially need in our economic development. Right? If you look around you, where we are here, the building today can't exemplify it better. Cement, which is the input material to concrete, is the most used material in the world apart from water. And everything that is not sort of grown is mined. So we need these 2 industries, not only for economic development, but also in the transition towards low carbon societies. When you open a Vestas windmill, you might think it's all steel, but it actually has 1,200 tons of concrete inside. And we can talk a lot about electrical vehicles and mobile phones and all these kind of things that require mining. Now, this is kind of where FLSmidth is operating. We are a technology provider that helps these 2 industries to move towards a more productive place. I am not as new as you, but I'm a year in, and I've been in Denmark for many years, and I'd never heard about FLSmidth. I heard a bit about them. I knew they were doing something in the consultancy business, but I didn't realize what an enormous potential that company has in helping these 2 sectors to make more sustainable products. If you look at the company, who we are essentially the Harvard of cement and the MIT of mining in helping to drive solutions. The company only started to realize the potential that it had about 18 months ago, and we have established a program now called Mission Zero that enables customers by 2030 to really operate under carbon neutrality. So this is the program that I'm responsible for. We're working very closely with our R&D, we work closely with our sales, with our technical people, and the ambition that we have set, carbon neutrality by 2030, is a bit of a John F. Kennedy kind of ambition. Put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. We know how to get to the moon 70%. We don't know the last 30%. And for that last 30%, we need the community. The startups, the people that have perhaps part of the puzzle, part of the knowledge that we don't have internally. That's also the step change that we need to make as a company. It's a group of engineers. They think they can do everything. They're not used to looking outside in the ecosystem in which we operate for solutions. But with this ambition we're driving, that's changed now. That's really where we're going, and that's kind of also what we want to do together with the community.
Thank you so much, Wouter. Inspiring. I'm going to get back to the link with the startups and with the innovation. I'm so happy for... There are two things I'm really happy about. First of all is the matter of diversity. What I love, one of the things I love working in the sustainability area in the field is that there's just diversity is blooming in there. So we have with us not only 50-50 gender balance, but we are in Denmark, and ladies and gentlemen, we don't really look all like we were born in this country. So I'm really kind of happy that we kind of promote the diversity within this field in many, many different aspects. I'm going to come back to you with a link to the startups and the R&D. Very, very interesting. Thank you so much. Medine.
Yeah, and starting off with diversity, we're a very diverse company. We're founded in Denmark, but with a lot of international profiles. I'm a sustainability manager at Better Energy, which is a renewable energy company. We were founded in 2012, so we're fairly young, but that doesn't mean we haven't accomplished many things. What we're really doing is we're building, operating, and driving the whole process of building new solar plants that are powering companies, cities, and whole countries with renewable energy. We're helping companies specifically become 100% renewable. And we're also one of the fastest growing providers of solar energy in Northern Europe. And just in our pipeline, we have over 5 gigawatts of solar energy that we're going to roll out. So fairly young company, big ambitions. We really want to make an impact that matters. And in terms of sustainability, when you're so young, you're born green, you're born social. So we've had it easy in terms of the momentum there is for sustainability at the moment. So our strategy is pretty much to be impact that matters and to be a driver of a renewable energy future. So you can pretty much say we want to create a revolution. And that's what we're doing. So we're collaborating with companies like Christian Hansen, where Nassera used to work, and helping them go green. But in terms of sustainability, we have an integrated value chain, and that is to make sure that we're sustainable in every sense of the word in each of our departments. Whether it's land, and that's people going out in the field, figuring out which land is suitable for solar plants. So we're doing a lot of different things, and what I can say here today is that I'm working in sustainability in a department that used to be called communications. Now it's sustainability, people, and communications, to really stress where we're headed with the move from CSR to ESG. CSR was really much about the effort you are making. ESG, you have to show it, and you have to be able to document it on all parameters. So for this year, we're doing a sustainability report. So next year, we're going to launch our very first ESG report. So you can look forward to that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Very amazing, and we love scaling new green companies. Fantastic. One of the programs that we're actually going to launch soon is called Green Transition Mentoring Program. Ooh. And in which where we actually connect those companies looking like you or startups looking like you with companies who are about embarking the transition journey. So that's the collaboration between you and Christian Hansen is interesting for us, and we want to create more stories like those. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Maurits.
I work for a company called GN, as you know, and GN has been around for more than 150 years. And the reason we as a company have been around so long is because we've always adjusted throughout history to new market opportunities, to new realities in society. And when I look at my role as the person responsible for sustainability, it's our responsibility to keep adjusting to these new realities. And we currently make hearing aids and audio devices. And my role is to adjust to the new realities put upon us by our stakeholders. And what our stakeholders are telling us very clearly is that we need to align our businesses, our operations, our products with the requirements from the Sustainable Development Goals. So we want to run a company that is truly sustainable and aligned with the needs of society as framed by the SDGs. And if we do that right, I think we can still be around for another 150 years. And that's certainly what I hope to contribute towards. Maybe very briefly on what that actually means in real terms. Like Nassera was talking about, it's about how you run your operations, your distribution, your manufacturing sites. It's also about the actual products we put on the market. And can we make products that contain more sustainable materials, where the packaging is smaller, less plastic, where the cardboard of the plastic is sourced responsibly, that have a longer life, and can we make sure that when we produce and ship these products, we do it in a way that has an environmental footprint that's as small as possible. And also obviously taking into account the social dimension, looking at human rights and making sure they are safeguarded throughout our supply chain diversity in our operations and in our company, and all the other topics encapsulated in those 17 SDGs. And just one final comment, it's a lot of fun doing this.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. One of the things that I love about this is that right now everybody's talking why sustainability and we should do something and that the world is collapsing. We all know that. But here we have concrete examples of people who are really doing it. We just talked about in the break that none of us really sleep so much because of so much work. So what I'm going to kind of come back to is we know for the fact that a lot of people would love to have your job. Sustainability is hot. Everybody wants to be sustainable. Everybody wants to be sustainability expert. Believe me, look at LinkedIn, everybody's sustainability expert. So how is your job now? Because you're experienced. So how is your job now, or the role of a sustainability manager now, compared to, let's say, 7, 5, 6 years ago? Wouter, can we start with you this time?
Yeah, it has changed for sure. I think when I started at that time at Carlsberg, the question was still if. Should we do this at all in the business, right? A lot of resistance. People didn't see the business case. They felt it was greenwashing, tree hugging, sitting with procurement and discussing what you do with your suppliers. That was an uphill battle. I think it has moved from the if to the what, and now we're really, what I would say, in the how phase. Really taking that next step, integrating it, talking ESG. And for me, in the role that I have, it has really fundamentally changed from a compliance-oriented role to a more marketing communications role to now something that is full-blown commercial. For us, we talk about two things that can differentiate us in the market. One is digital, and the other one is sustainability. I think that has been the fundamental change that I've seen over the last 10 years.
Fantastic. What about you, Nassera?
I think I've been quite privileged that I worked for companies that were very focused on sustainability. But now, having started this new job in a different company, in Coloplast, I can really see that it's, as Wouter, you're saying, it's not just about the agenda, or we want to do something because it's nice to do. Yeah. People, the employees, our top management, people who are working in the operation, all of them, and also our users, so the end users of our products, they're interested in this topic. They know it's a need. They know we need to make these different changes in order to basically, have a longer, better, sustainable life. And that's basically what's driving, I would say, the agenda right now. And Fantastic. That's what makes my job also quite interesting.
Fantastic. Just to get a little bit back on that, we talk with a lot of universities and research institutions where there are young people are there, young students. And that they have a big problem because their clients, stakeholders, which is the young students, there is a huge gap between what they think should and what they are ready to do and what the institutions are setting as a target. There's a huge gap. And for you, it seems like that gap is completely closed because your employees and even your customers are looking for products and you're working on it. So you have closing down that gap. Turning to you, to both of you, because you just started, new started company, but you with 150 years. Not you alone, but the company. You look much younger.
Oh, yeah,
you look much younger. But how do you see the future? How do you think sustainability manager's role is going to look like, let's say, 7 years, 10 years from now?
Hopefully we won't be around anymore in 10 years because it's just become part of doing business the right way. As I said, it's just adjusting to a new reality, and we are helping business make that adjustment. And it's starting to cut through, as Nassera and Wouter are saying. When I open my inbox, there's emails from our customer accounts team saying, this customer wants this. Our investor relations people are saying, these investors really want answers on these sustainability questions. So they are starting to see it. Our R&D people are starting to see it. So ultimately, at some point, it will just become part of doing business the right way, and then we'll have to find new jobs.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I actually, when I think back to just 5 years ago, I was writing my master thesis in communication about climate change. And all the examples were scary scenarios, the world is doomed, and what is going to happen. And then you were highlighting companies that were spilling oil into the Mexican Gulf and whatnot. There were just a lot of scary scenarios. Then you have better energy, where we used to be. I mean, I used to be in a communications department. Very classic. Sustainability is placed in communication. It's a communication task. I think it was only 8 months into my employment that we were like, nope, it's going to be sustainability. Communication is a measurement, is a tool.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's a tool. Sustainability, that's what you're doing. And you have to ensure that you're doing it in all elements of your company. And this is just a natural thing because our investors expect it, the pension funds expect it. They still have a long way to go, but we're meeting them halfway. And just in terms of your question with the educational institutions and students today, what they're looking for and what the companies are ready for, I think we also in our companies have a task. We have to, when a student reaches out, they do daily basis for us, you have to meet them, talk to them, help them get dressed up for this future they're embarking on. Because they wouldn't know, you don't see this in the theory books, because what's happened in the past 5 years is enormous. And we as companies have a responsibility for that. So we're meeting with educational institutions to make sure that people can use our cases in their projects. But it's also just emphasizing that sustainability is here to stay, and there's a huge growth market in it. I mean, just imagine if all of Europe became a hub for green growth and jobs. And that's what you need, where you need ESG. It shouldn't just be something you're talking about for your reports, it's also something you're doing. And that's the shift we're seeing from CSR to ESG. Because with CSR, it was just your efforts. You could support an organization on a voluntary basis even. You could do pro bono tasks for them. You could send money to an NGO. But we have to move beyond that. And with ESG, you're obliged to report on these specific standards. And you have to make it something that everybody in the company knows. So sustainability also has to be a talking point issue. All your employees should know what you're doing on the ESG front, on the sustainability front. And I'm just thinking at Better Energy, since we're just fairly new, founded in 2012, a lot of my experienced colleagues are from the fossil fuel industry. But they were fed up. They were like, no more. We have kids now, and we have to think about their future. We just have to think about the health of the planet. And Better Energy is open for people like that. You should be able to transition yourself as well, as a part of the green transition.
Fantastic.
And if I could just add one thing.
Absolutely.
One thing that also for young students and people who want to get into this field, one thing that has changed over the last few years, and that has been unique, is that the corporate strategies for all companies, whether it is a corporate company, whether it's an educational institution, whether it's investors, the strategy itself is becoming a sustainability strategy. It's very integrated. And I've actually heard a few CEOs who have gone up and said that they are the chief sustainability officers of that company.
Yeah.
I mean, that itself is a sign that it's part of the whole company as such. So I think students who are looking to get into this field, they need to understand it's not just about social issues, or it's not just about a cause, or it's not just about, say, technical assessment. It's about the overall way of doing business.
Exactly. I agree.
I have 2 questions left because I know you're busy. And they are somehow related. And I've been hearing a little bit from the movement from going with a lot of reportings and measurings, but now more into more innovation, product development, new business strategies. So how are you working with innovation? And how is that linked within your innovation department? I heard you were saying that you collaborate with your R&D group, Wouter. Maybe you should start with that.
Yeah, I can do that. I think you asked, how are we working with the community? How are we working with innovation? Not well enough, I think, is the real answer. This is a company that has been around almost a bit longer than GN. And there's a certain pride to do everything ourselves. With the ambition, as I mentioned before, that we have set now, where we want to be at the end of 2030, enable customers to operate with 0 emissions. We have established the 70% that we can kind of do ourselves. But that 30% relies on competences that we don't have, and we will never have. Carbon capture is an example of those. Other types of cement. It will never be the core competence of FLSmidth to focus on carbon capture. So we need other organizations that have perhaps part of the solution. I think one of the things that we need to address collectively as companies, with the communities, with the startups, is how do we transition, or how do we overcome the barrier from speed that the community gives us, right? We have a very elaborative stage gate model where we take our innovations through. We don't have the speed, and we need that speed today. Society needs these solutions to come out fast. But the other challenge is that there are perhaps companies out there that have small-scale solutions that we can adopt, but scaling up from a pilot to a large cement factory with very high temperatures, with large volumes, that remains a big challenge. And we need to find basically an ecosystem where we can protect these innovative concepts, help them to grow, to nourish, and then slowly scale it over time. Because otherwise it's plugging in something into an F1 car and it won't work. So we need organizations that bring people together, that bring the knowledges together, and then say, how do we jointly accelerate these innovations collectively?
Fantastic. Can we go with you, Nassera?
So, I mean, I like what you're saying because, of course, you're working in a different industry. You're working with the cement industry. And here, maybe, Maurits, you and I are quite similar because we're working we make products, and now I'm talking about Coloplast. We use plastic, and that's just the basis of it. We do have a position on plastic, and it is, as of today, one of the best alternatives. And mainly because we are taking care of people that need it. You know, they are suffering. I mean, they don't choose their issues, so obviously they shouldn't have to choose something that doesn't work properly. So that's the basic need for this kind of a product. But at least we also know that the issue of plastic comes when it becomes a waste material. Yeah. So what we've started talking, at least at Coloplast, is that we will start talking a lot with our R&D and our innovation team. And we've designed what we call an eco-design platform. And going back to the core, how can we look or try to find substitutes or alternative materials, reduce. Therefore, I mean, our targets are set up mainly on the packaging side because that's relatively an easier win, you could say. But obviously, then we need to work in partnership. So working really with the core suppliers. We have the technology to sort of build the product, but not let's say, the perfect expertise of the materials of that product. So we need to then, partner with those associations, those suppliers, and see if we can try. And I think partnerships is the way to go. So, I mean, I'm really happy for this kind of a system that you've set up here, then we can get together like minds and then work towards that. And then through these different platforms that we've created internally, maybe hire researchers, maybe work with alternative materials and try out a new product. So that's kind of where we are starting. And in the next few years, we will also set KPIs for our innovation products as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
I love the fact that you almost apologetic said that we are using plastic, with the audience expecting to throw tomatoes at you today.
That's the reality.
It's not all bad.
Courage
I
is
agree.
important.
Yeah.
Courage is important. Hugo.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, we have a technology department, which is also our R&D, and they have to ensure that as companies advance towards sustainability, they take on more sustainable products and projects, we have to make sure that our product is the highest level. And that requires technology. So you have to have people within your company that work exclusively on developing your products to make sure that you have the latest technologies. But partnerships is the biggest equation in all of this, because you can't do it by yourself, as you were mentioning as well. You can't have these experts within the company all the time, but you can collaborate with people who does. And that could be everything from educational institutions to other companies that have specific, they're specialized in specific things. And I can't say much, but things are happening at Better Energy, but our R&D department are onto something that's really interesting. But what I have to say is that partnerships is also different in Denmark, for instance, because the energy sector is heavily regulated. And we have green energy to completely change the way society is powered, but we need large amounts of it. And our grid systems are not ripe for it. They're not ready to take all this green energy. Yeah. So you have to look at power to X. You have to look at different grid solutions. And you need to collaborate with other people. And sometimes you'd be so surprised, even young students at the university might have a solution, so you need to listen to them. You need to go out to the universities, hear what kind of technologies they're working with, what kind of innovations they're working with, because they could help. But for a heavy regulated industry like the one I'm in, you also have to have lobby and partnerships on the lobby front. You need to change the regulations to make sure that you can accelerate the green transition. And that leads me to the last point. I think it's relevant for all of us. We have to have the end in mind. And do you want to be by the end and not have fulfilled anything in terms of your sustainability? Then you're standing on the wrong side of the history. So we have to accelerate everything, and we need technology, we need partnerships. We have a whole department called Partnerships, up to par with technology as well, because it's such a crucial element of what we're doing. And I think all of us have a responsibility to be vocal about this need.
Thank you so much.
A quick example of how we did this in GN, our audio division, which is also known as Jabra. There's 1,500 people there, and that's where there's a real big focus on sustainability, because we serve a certain market where there's a very high demand for sustainability as a differentiator in our product. And what we did initially internally was just say, okay, we want to make our products and operations more sustainable, go. So we just opened our mailbox, we had a little process around it, and we said, please come with your ideas. There's 1,500 people in the company. We got 155 very high-level ideas. So that shows how much potential there's also internally to drive innovation. We then had a whole process around selecting the winner, and the winner, the top 3, we're going to try to make real. And some of those then might lead to external partnerships, because a lot of it requires a different way of working, and it often requires fresh eyes, fresh perspectives, etc. So I think that's how we sort of approach it. We first look internally, because there's so much knowledge, so much passion around sustainability. It also helps create a culture of sustainability. That's a prerequisite to become sustainable in the first place. And then we'll also open up to external collaborations to make those real, because you do need the internal knowledge to make it relevant.
Fantastic. So that's a great example of internal open innovation.
Yeah.
Right. We run a platform called Climate Response, which is about that. And we actually have a lot of problems explaining this to the companies. So it's very good. Next time I'm going to use your case. I'm going to say, see what they have done.
And they know. And a lot of people know more about this than me. I don't pretend to be the expert on all these technical aspects of sustainability. So we just use the knowledge that's there.
Fantastic.
But just challenge them in this sustainability dimension.
Yeah.
The last thing, and that's going to be a short remark, Sustainary represents the sustainable community in Denmark, but also global. And believe me, there are a lot of startups, organizations with the heart in the right place who really would like to collaborate with big organizations. And I don't know if you know it, but it's quite difficult.
Yeah.
If you don't have the name, if you don't have the address, we are also busy trying to figure out how to kind of make the money for the next day. How do you see the co-creation and collaboration in the innovation space? Not only, I'm not talking about just holding hand and those kind of stuff. With the community, how can this be improved? Where do you go to? Do you go to us, or do you go to universities? Can people come to you? How can we empower that together?
I think I have to think about this a little bit, but I have to say one of the things, at least from the companies I work with and at Coloplast, what we're going to try and do is also be open to these partnerships. So actually give out our, let's say, contacts and ideas that we have set, the KPIs that we've set, and what we intend to do to people like you, to Sustainary, to different institutions that are also looking at it.
Is enough with us?
Yes, but so well then to you, and then it goes, and then also we ourselves are researching how to get involved. I know, Medine, you and I are part of a network called as Sustainable Changemakers in Denmark, and it's been a network of all different types of people involved in sustainability. So that's one way that we go there and contribute and talk about it and invite people for the issues that we don't have the best answers for.
Exactly.
So that's different ways. So being in networks, I think that is one way of going about it, I would say.
Yeah.
Wouter, if I were a startup, and because startups is nice that you want to talk to them, but what they want is they want you to buy their products or help them grow, give them access, data, knowledge. If I were a startup and I needed kind of help, what should I do to get your attention?
Keep knocking on the door. Make our life easy. And sometimes, if you can, show us the money. I think Medine explained it very well. We talk a lot about partnerships at the moment, and we all love it. And say that's the silver bullet for sustainability. It's right, but you need to be nuanced in what that means. Yeah. Sometimes a partner means a regulatory body that can help you to improve your grid, right? Yes. To adopt the green energy. Sometimes it's financial partners. And I think it's important for the startups, keeping in mind that corporate decision-making process is slow and difficult and heavy.
Oh, yeah.
The more easy you can make our life by saying, we have a fantastic concept, this is how it would fit to your business. And by the way, I have, if you can, some innovation money available for that from this and this fund. Now you have my attention.
All right.
If you come to me and say, but we have maybe something that you can do over time and it's 10 years and we have some thoughts, it won't work. No. There's no time, no attention. These three things,
concrete.
Keep pushing, right? Make our life easy.
Yes.
This is how it would work for your business. And perhaps there are some finance, or if you have identified some areas where you can apply for finance, I think that's a winning formula.
Fantastic. And I give you the word again, the end. What do you think?
I have very little to add to what Wouter said. I think that's completely true. So maybe one concrete thing, do not hesitate to write me a message if you think you can partner with GN in whatever way. You get 1 or 3 answers. Sorry, no, it's not relevant. Yes, this is great, and I'm going to meet with you and we can see how we make about sustainability. Or actually there's, and that's a very likely answer, there's someone in the company who is working on a sustainability topic that relates to this. I'm going to link you to that person and they might be able to partner. I don't have any money, so I'm going to have to convince someone else to pay for it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and I hope that we're going to see more of you, maybe next year, here again, and we're going to have another talk again. And thank you for your time, and now the invitation is open, so please don't hesitate to contact, but be concrete. We're going to have a short break, and we're going to come back with the next talk. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you.